Momentum is building up ahead of the North West ANC Provincial Conference at the Rustenburg Civic Center. Registration of the delegates is expected to be done today, and the official opening is scheduled for Saturday. The event is expected to end on Sunday, and branches are expected to elect new leadership for the province. Refiloe Seboko is standing by to tell us where the process is at this hour at least. Afternoon to you, Refiloe.
Afternoon, Dudu. We are currently at the Olympia Stadium. This is where the registration had been going on, and as you've just said, that a delegate will be also proceeding with the registrations for the conference. And behind me is the team that is rallying behind one of the candidates for that chairperson position in the Northwest, which is Mr. Nono Baloi. He's joining me now. Mr. Maloi, thank you so much for your time and welcome to Newzroom Afrika. We can see the support behind you. How has the campaign been, the build-up to the conference?
Yeah, it was a very long journey. We started this campaign on the first day when the IPC was appointed, because one of its key mandates was to take the province to a conference. Now it is normal that when a structure takes a province to a conference, there will be people who will be interested to contest for different positions. Therefore, those who are contesting for different positions and all that, they will then start lobbying and so on. So it was a very long process and a tedious one. We are happy that we are here today, starting with our conference. We will now have a structure of the ANC which will assist the African National Congress to rebuild itself, renew itself, and unite all members of the ANC in the province. So we are there, we are getting there. We hope that the collective, which will be elected in this conference over this weekend, that collective will be equal to the task.
And in one of the analysis that we had with the political analysts, they have talked about how they see you being victorious amongst those that are contesting for this chairperson position. How confident are you that you stand a good chance?
Now, we stand a good chance. Like I'm saying, we started on day one. It was a tedious process and so on. We had to convince members of the ANC that this is the type of leadership that we want, and the majority of members of the ANC were convinced that indeed that's the type of leadership that we want. But I must indicate that the conferences can be predicted. We are not sangomas. We don't know what will happen there, because when these members of the ANC go to the ballot box, he is there or she is there alone. She make that X and so on. That is why more often than not there are surprises after conferences and so on. So anybody can emerge, but for now we think we are cruising nicely. We think we have consolidated our support base. We think that those who are behind us, they know what is it that they need to do, and we think they will do the right thing.
You're one of the front runners up against the current Premier of the Northwest, Bushimabe, the former chairperson of the ANC in the province, Suprama Humapelo. Are you intimidated by anyone within that list?
No, we are not intimidated by anybody. We are equal members of the ANC. The positions that we are talking about and so on, those positions belong to the African National Congress. Because you will know by now that when we go for elections, citizens of the Republic of South Africa, they vote for the ANC, not individuals. The ANC is the one that allocates those positions to those individuals, whether it's premiership, it's MEC, whatever position. So we can't be intimidated by those positions and so on. Those comrades are members of the ANC, we are members of the ANC, we are going to the ballot and so on. But like I said, our support base is solid. We are cruising nicely.
There are those, Mr. Maloi, that have been calling for you to step aside because of the culpable homicide charges that you are facing. Your response?
You know, it is quite shocking and surprising that some of the journalists and some of the members of the ANC, they don't understand the step-aside role. But let me firstly say, the step-aside role is a policy of the African National Congress. It is binding to all members of the ANC. Now, all members of the ANC, if they find themselves in conflict with the law, they are duty-bound to step aside, but only if they are charged with serious offenses. Now, traffic offenses can be a serious offense, because if we are to convert traffic offenses into serious offenses, we will not have members of the ANC standing for any position. Because as we stand here, some of them have got traffic fines for speeding, others for this, others for that, and so on. But the other thing which I would also want to bring to your attention, you know, culpable homicide is where a person loses his life because of an accident which happened unintentionally. Now, as Africans, our culture will tell you that when a person is involved in a car accident and so on, you go there, you sympathize with that person. And saying, accident, and so on and so forth. Now, there are other members of the ANC who don't understand that simple thing of Ubuntu. They now want to politicize an accident and turn it into something else. But from where I'm sitting, it does not apply. But if the leadership of the ANC can tomorrow say that step aside also apply to these minor things and so on and so forth, like I said, we are duty bound to step aside. Now, I'm leading a collective, and this entire collective is equal to the task. Anybody will be ready to step in, so it's not a problem.
Should you become victorious, Mr. Malloy, we've seen issues of instability and disunity within the ANC in the province. How are you planning to resolve that? Should you become the chairperson of the ANC in the Northwest?
Yeah, let's start with a background which will also assist you going forward. The state of the organization, and not only in the province, but in the whole country, leaves much to be desired. Our branches are no longer active, they are no longer organic. If you go to a meeting of an ANC today, you will find that there are people who are not members of the ANC who disrupt meetings of the ANC using all sorts of weapons. Our elderly professionals and so on are now afraid to attend meetings of the African National Congress. In some instances, where you are told that there is a branch of the ANC, you will find that people will go to a hall, there are 5 people there, they will say 150 people attended the meeting, and they sign on behalf of those members. A new phenomenon which just came in now is this thing of ID harvesting. People will go to meeting, take other people's IDs, scan them and then say that members of the ANC were in a meeting, when members of the ANC were not in a meeting. There are infights amongst ourselves and so on. Now, when the president of the ANC closed the conference in Newzroom, in which all of us as members of the ANC we agreed, we said there are 3 main things that we need to do because of the state of the organization that I told you about just now. One is to rebuild the ANC because we believe that it is in tatters and so on. We need to rebuild it. And we must start with that process with earnest. The second one is to renew the ANC. Like I just told you, the caliber of members that we attract in the African National Congress is not what we expect. So we need to renew it and so on, and make sure that we get rid of this chaff. And the ANC must be left with members who understand the ANC, who will take us forward, who will make sure that at the end of the day, the general public there regain the confidence that they had in the African National Congress since 1912, not 1994. The other point is unifying the African National Congress. These infightings that are happening and so on and so forth, they don't assist the ANC. Our citizens are shocked that a party which is in government, which is leading in government and so on, they are fighting over positions. Today, if you go to a council meeting, you find members of the ANC fighting amongst each other, coming with motions of no confidence almost every week. You go to the legislature. As we speak today, members of the opposition, particularly the DA, is chairing portfolio committees, which technically suggest that the ANC is accounting to the DA when the ANC has won elections. So we'll need to fix those things. So what this tells you is that problems in the ANC have snowballed into government. But once you fix the ANC, it will be easy to fix the government.
Mr. Malloy, thank you so much for your time. That is Nono Malloy, the candidate for the chairperson position in the North West in that conference that has kicked off today. And I'm going to throw it back at you, Dudu, as we are moving from the stadium, Olympia Stadium, we'll be going to the Rustenburg Civic Center. We understand that Bushimape, who is also the candidate for the chairperson position in this conference, will be addressing the media at about 3:30.
Refiloe Seboko, thank you very much for that update. Still to come, the ANC Youth League's elective conference in Mpumalanga is continuing this afternoon. Bilane Pachadi is tracking that development for us.